I'm ready now to install my handle. Before we do the lid insert, we need to get our handle on. So first thing I want to do is I want to mark where I need to cut on the other side. I may have already told you in a previous video to do this when I was doing my other top, but I'm just taking a pin and pushing in at the start and end of each one of these slits where our hardware is going to be going in, so I can cut a slit. And I've already done this once. I started to work on it and I thought, oh, I better film this. So I've already done it. With the covering of fabric and the glue, it's kind of hard to get those pins through. You could use a tiny nail too and tap it through. Even though I've already done it once, it's not easy pushing it through. There we go. This is the front of the case because it's curved. This is the back, and that's important as we're doing this. So I've slit these two already. I just take a sharp X-Acto knife and go down and slit those, slit the material. I can see the first of my pin dot and the end. That glue is tough to go through, so it dries really secure. And then I take my hardware and put it in there and just work it in a little bit. Okay, just so I know I can get it in. And the hump goes to the center because that's what's going to hold our D-ring in there. Just putting them in far enough, I'll have to hammer them in. So I'm just putting far enough to really open my slits up. Okay. So we've got our two leaves that are going to be going this direction. Our hardware, the bump is going to go toward the middle. So our leaf is going to go on right to the start of the bump. It's going to lay like that and come around. I want to make a slit in my leaf. Let me get something under here. I want to make a slit in my leaf so my leather can wrap around and be secured good. So I line up the edge of the leaf with this part of the hardware. Line that up and center it so the hardware is hidden. This is just to hide your hardware. Nothing to do with making your case secure. And then when I lay that down, I've got it in there nice. And I take a marker. I take a marker and mark on each side of the hardware. And then I know I need to slit exactly the middle right in between those two lines. So I'll move my case lid because I sure don't want to slit my material now. I'm just going to take my X-Acto knife and cut a slit in here in between those two dark lines. Don't go too far because the leather will stretch a little bit. Whoops, I didn't get it all the way through. There we go. Okay, so hardware's going to go this direction with the hump. So I take that area that I slit and put it through there. Pull it over. And now your hardware is ready to go down into the slits. You might need to straighten these up. Mine were pretty they weren't lined up nice and even because when I pulled them out, they got messed up. So I used some tools out in the shed and straightened them up a little bit. Yours might be fine. Put them in the holes. Our leather is wrapped around here and caught. And I'm holding the leather down here too so that it gets secured really well. push down. And then let me get my little block of wood. I need a block of wood, and I brought it in here. There we go. After I get my little block of wood, I pull my leaf back, and I want a steady tap. So I'm just going to put this wood on here so I'm not banging on my hardware, and I have a nice steady tap on here. This is the front. This is kind of important too. This is the front. This is the back. So when I look at my leather handle that I did, my leather wrapped around this way, and when you see from the front, it looks nice and smooth, where when you look from the back, you can see the edge of your leather. So I want that back just to go toward the back. It doesn't have anything to do with keeping your handle together any better or anything, but and I'm gonna make sure my leaf is lined up good before I hammer the last tap down. Oh, and I forgot to put my D-ring in. So if you forget to put your D-ring in, Mr. Henry tells you on the Singer Featherweight shop, he tells you to put a tool in here and stretch this out. When you put a new handle on, you can watch that. I'm going to pull it back out and put it back in. I got my D-ring attached on this side. I ended up turning it over, pounding it out again. So now I cut my slit in my leaf. I put my D-ring in this time, have my leather wrapped around there. And this one's a little trickier because you've got to keep the D-ring up in this groove and your leather straight on your hardware. Then I'm going to try to tap just without the wood. I just don't want to tap hard. I don't want to tap hard enough I distort my hardware. Okay, before I tap it all the way down, I'm going to make sure my leaf is lined up nicely there. And my last taps, I'm going to use my wood. Look at the bottom. And then that leaf is ready to be glued down too. You're going to flip your case over. It's a little bit harder now because you've got your handle on there, but you have these pieces of hardware to secure your handle. And you may have to get a tool to work those in there so you spread apart the prongs. This one I'm definitely probably going to have to spread it apart a little bit. Those are on nice and tight. And I was like, oh no, which way do I push these back? This direction? Or do I push them toward the middle? Luckily, I had taken a picture when I was working and they go out. So that's what's going to secure your handle on there. I want to make sure that everything looks good on this side still. After I put those on, tap down just a little better on both sides. And if you've got a couple of 2x4s to set this on while you worked, to keep your handle up off the ground, a couple pieces of wood to keep it up, that would make it easier. And I think I'm going to go to the shed and do that. I went and got some books so my handle will go down between the books. I didn't want to go to the shed. So I got some books. I've got those in there and I have one of them done. And what I used some vice grips, and there's a rounded edge and a flatter edge on these. So I used the rounder edge so that I could kind of roll this hardware. I grabbed hold and tried to pull and angle those back so it gets a nice tight curve and pulls your handle tight on the other side. Once I got them started with the vice grips, then I can use my then I can use my hammer and just hammer them down. Very sturdy. Your handle is on good. Now you just need to use your E6000 glue. But just remember, these pretty leaves are just there for pretty. They are not there for anything to make your case secure. I'm going to take this and I'm going to put a little up on the curve of that handle. Then I'm going to wipe it on, trying to make the least mess I can because I don't want to clean a bunch off like I did on the handle. So I'm taking it all the way to the edges. Need some more. Lay that down, stretch it into place, and line it up nice and neat. And this kind of stretches if you have leather that's soft as you put it on, but that E6000 grabs right hold, and I usually push it down nice and tight around the hardware. Look at it from this direction, it looks straight. You don't even have to secure it, but if you wanted to, you could put painter's tape over it to hold it in place. I don't think it's gonna move. So one leaf is done, I'll do the other, and then we have a lid with a handle.